Hello everyone, it's Origami. Welcome back to What If Naruto Had Jiongu Part 3 of this series. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Here is the summary. In order to save Naruto's life, the Sandaime is forced to use a kinjutsu stolen by the Shodaime to help Naruto survive. Now with the incredible power of Jiongu on his side, Naruto is ready to shake up the ninja world and show his power. The only question, when does he start? Let's get started. Chapter 5, Academy Days. Konoha 10 years after Kyuubi attack. It was Naruto's 4th year in the academy and he was highly bored with it. He honestly thought that he just went to a regular school for civilians half the time with all of these boring subjects. It was killing him on the inside. Naruto sighed as he looked around the classroom and observed his classmates. He noted how they had all changed in their own way. Shino didn't really change all that much, except he had gotten taller. Naruto was able to become one of Shino's good friends after he had just brushed a bug off of his shoulder instead of squishing it like most of the other kids. This led to Shino approaching him and questioning his actions, where Naruto told him that the bug wasn't bothering him so there was no need to crush it. Shino also accepted the fact that Naruto hated wasps, a hatred they deeply shared. Naruto was able to become a good friend with Choji. He was able to connect with the Akimichi because of their love to eat. Currently, their ramen showdown had them tied at 18 bowls, and they were determined to outdo each other. Becoming Shikamaru's friend was fairly easy, all he had to do was spend a day with him and do some cloud watching. It also helped that they played a few shogi games every once in a while. Naruto always fumed when he couldn't beat Shikamaru, which was every time. Ino also became one of Naruto's friends after a certain incident. The young Yamanaka was being teased about her lack of taijutsu skill and was on the verge of tears. Naruto, hating to see anyone bullied, stepped in and defended her. After he drove the bullies away, the two blondes talked for a while. They found out that they each had a hobby in gardening. Naruto had decided on adding a few flowers in his apartment to make it seem more homey. Ino had offered to give him help once in a while and they become friends after a while. Kiba was difficult. Naruto had tried to become his friend, but the Inuzuka didn't want to because of his standing in the class. Naruto was in the middle, but Kiba was towards the bottom, close to the position of the dead last. His pride wouldn't let him accept it and he tried to surpass Naruto every day, only to fail most of the time. At least Akamaru liked the Uzumaki. Sasuke was one of the people Naruto couldn't connect with. After the Uchiha massacre, where Itachi, Sasuke's brother, had killed the entire clan save for him, Sasuke fell into a state of being the lone wolf. He never wanted to associate with anyone, and belittled others for any small mistake. Naruto wanted to become his friend because he knew about what it felt like to be alone, but gave up trying after dealing with the emo's attitude for a while. Then there was Sakura Haruno, daughter of Mabuki Haruno of the Civilian Council. She had hated Naruto with a passion after the very first day they started the academy. Naruto believed that it was because he had tied with Sasuke after their first match, but knew that it was also because of all the lies her parents had told her. He had met the Harunos, and knew that they hated him with a passion. He knew because they threw everything they had at him when he walked in front of their house, even the kitchen sink. And finally, there was Hinata, Naruto's first friend. She had gotten better with her training with the Hyugas and with her confidence. Naruto had found it strange that she would blush and stutter a lot when he was around, more than usual, but couldn't figure it out for the life of him. He had remembered the day when her strange behavior had started so clearly. Flashback 2 years ago. Naruto and Hinata were let out of the academy for the day and were about to go to a dango shop to celebrate passing their test. The two kids hadn't even left the academy when trouble seemed to find them. "Why are you still in the academy, Hinata-sama?" a voice asked from behind them, laced with disgust. The two turned around to see Neji Hyuga, Hinata's cousin who Naruto had the pleasure of meeting when he went to the Hyuga compound once. Their first meeting was pleasant. "And Neji and I-san," Hinata said as he glared at her, making her flinch. Naruto then stepped in front of Hinata and gave Neji a glare of his own. "What do you want, team?" Naruto asked. "I'm just wondering why a weakling like her is still trying to be a ninja," Neji said as he crossed his arms. "There is no hope for someone as weak as her in this world." fate has decreed it. Naruto scoffed and said, fate, smate, none of that destiny stuff is real. Neji glared at him and said, those are the words of a fool who doesn't know his place in life. Hinata-sama will always be weak and worthless. It's because of her kindness, isn't it? Naruto asked. Neji nodded and said, yes, her compassion for others will be her undoing. Naruto closed his eyes and said, I don't believe so, Hinata-chan's kindness is her strength. Hinata looked up at Naruto with awe as he continued, she is kind because she is a caring person. She wants to help all of the people she meets, even if it hurts her in the process. Hinata-chan cares for you, but you just don't want to realize it. So go and play with your beliefs of fate and all that junk. But when your fate fails you, don't come crying to me. With that, Naruto took Hinata's hand in his own, making her blush, and left the academy, leaving a fuming Neji behind them. Naruto-kun, Hinata thought, you are so kind to me, so helpful. You're someone I would want to spend my life with. You make me feel so calm and happy all the time. Maybe I should talk to Kai-chan about this. Hinata just blushed and had a small smile on her face as she and Naruto made their way to the dango shop. Flashback end. Naruto was jolted out of his thoughts when Iruka and Mizuki walked inside the classroom. Each one was sporting a few faded bruises and a couple of shallow cuts. Iruka-sensei, what happened to you guys? Naruto asked. Iruka smiled and rubbed the back of his head. Well, me and Mizuki had a little spar yesterday. And we kinda went overboard with all the fighting. Over the years, Iruka had his opinion of Naruto changed after the Sandaime made him spend the day with the little Uzumaki. He had become nicer to him, except for when he was left to pay the bill at Ichiraku's whenever Iruka took Naruto there. While he was appalled at how much ramen Naruto could stuff into himself, his world was broken when he saw that Hinata could eat more ramen than Naruto. What's this wee business? You were the one who was throwing 20 kunai at me. Mizuki protested. Which one of us threw 2 Fuma shuriken at the same time? Iruka shot back. Mizuki just blushed and turned around while whistling innocently. Everyone began to snicker at their sensei's argument. Iruka then decided to get on with today's lesson. Okay class, we're going to be going over our history of the Shodaime. This had caught Naruto's attention. He always wanted to learn more about the Shodaime since he was the only Konoha shinobi that had seen the Jiongu in action. He was currently fighting for second place of his list of favorite Hokages. First place going to his idol the Yondaime for saving the village from the Kyuubi. His Jiji was fighting the Shodaime for second place, he was the one who had given him his special gift. Can anyone tell me what noticeable events happened with the Shodaime besides him founding the village? Iruka asked. Sasuke raised his hand so Iruka picked him. The Shodaime battled Madara Uchiha in the Valley of the End where he defeated Madara, even after he summoned the Kyuubi no Kitsune, Sasuke said. All of his fangirls just gushed over everything he said. Correct, now can anyone tell me what else the Shodaime did? Iruka asked. This time, Naruto raised his hand. He was able to drive off an S-rank ninja from Takigakure when they tried to assassinate him, Naruto said. Where did you hear that? That's not in the textbooks, Iruka said. Naruto Baka probably made it up, Sakura huffed, causing everyone, even Sasuke, to stiffen before they sent glances to Hinata. Naruto was ready to restrain Hinata before she turned Sakura into paste, however, Iruka spoke up and drew everyone's attention to him. Naruto, can you tell us where you heard about that particular story? I haven't heard of it so I'm a little curious, Iruka said. Jiji told me, Naruto began, he was talking about the Shodaime one day and mentioned that he was targeted by many nations. The most noticeable one being an S-rank ninja from Taki. He never told me the ninja's name though. Okay class, I'll go and ask the Hokage about it and tell you all tomorrow, Iruka informed them. Hyuga compound later. The academy had let out for the day and Naruto and Hinata were walking to the Hyuga compound. Hinata's family had invited Naruto over for dinner, and even though he refused, Hitomi wouldn't take no for an answer. Both kids had entered the compound, and after greeting the guards, headed for garden where they knew Hitomi would be. True to their thoughts, Hitomi was relaxing in the garden with a baby Hanabi in her lap. There was a big scare when Hanabi was born. Hitomi was starting to lose too much blood and was on the verge of death. But thanks to the efforts of Tsunade, she was able to pull through. She had to take it easy for a while, but is currently in good health. Hello Kai-chan, Hanabi-chan, Hinata greeted. Hina. Nato. Hanabi said as she waved to the two. Naruto just sighed. He would never be able to get her to learn to correctly pronounce his name. Hello Hinata-chan, Naruto-kun, Hitomi said as she stood up. Learn my name. Naruto yelled at Hanabi. The 4-year-old just giggled in response. Nato. She giggled, causing Hinata and Hitomi to do the same. Naruto just hung his head as a cloud of depression began to rain on him. Come on Nato-kun, why don't you tell us about your day? Hitomi teased. Naruto looked at her in horror while Hinata just fell to the floor laughing. Would you like to be called an Nato-kun, or Fifishke-kun? Hinata asked while holding in her laughter. Not you too Hinata-chan. Naruto wailed. None of the women could take it anymore and they fell to the ground laughing. Something amusing happen? Hayashi asked as he was drawn outside by the laughter. Tell them to stop making fun of me. Naruto pleaded. Hayashi just smirked and said, Now ladies, it's not nice to make fun of Naruto-san's name. All of the women just stared at him while Naruto grinned in triumph. Without inviting me to witness it happening, Hayashi finished. Naruto just stared at him in shock while the females just fell back into a laughing mess. After everyone recovered, they looked around to see Naruto found him over by a shrub wallowing in depression. Sorry Naruto-kun, Hinata said as she saw the depressed blonde. It's fine Hinata-chan, Naruto told her as he stood up. I was just playing around with you all. Hayashi sighed and said, I should have known, that prankster side of yours is getting more mischievous each day. What can I say? Pranking is fun. Naruto exclaimed with a large grin. As long as you don't prank my family, meaning me, my wife, and daughters, then I give you free rein, Hayashi said. Naruto just gave him a smile while there was a mischievous glint in his eye. Next day. Naruto slid into his desk with Hinata on his right, Shikamaru and Choji behind him, and Shino and Ino in front of him. He was able to get Shino to become a little bit social with the group. It wasn't much, but progress is progress. He also managed to get Ino over her little bit of fear for the Aburame. She was fine as long as his bugs didn't crawl onto her without her permission. So Irika-sensei, did Gigi tell you about the Taki shinobi? Naruto asked when Irika and Mizuki walked inside. Yes he did, Irika said. I must say, you helped me get a good history lesson Naruto. Irika smiled at the blonde, who pumped his fist into the air in triumph. What did Hokage-sama tell you about that guy anyway? Choji asked while munching on a bag of chips. Irika took a deep breath and began. Hokage-sama told me as much as he could remember since the incident happened when he was only a little older than you guys. Takigakure had sent an S-rank ninja to assassinate the Shodaime, one who was able to use the 5 basic elements of ninjutsu tirelessly. The Shodaime defeated him easily and demanded compensation from Taki. Wow, who knew that the Shodaime was such a popular guy, Ino commented. Well, he did create the first hidden village and help make the basics for the shinobi system, Shikamaru pointed out. Irika nodded and said, Very good Shikamaru, seems like you've been studying really well. Not really, I just remember that particular sentence from one of your boring lectures, Shikamaru said, earning a few laughs from the class. Okay, all of you be quiet, Mizuki ordered, getting everyone to shut up. Now let's get started on today's lesson. What did we have planned again? We're supposed to go over the history of the Senju clan, Irika said as he dug through his desk and pulled out a textbook. Isn't that the clan where the first 2 Hokages come from? Naruto asked. Irika nodded and said, yes, the Senju clan, which was one of the 2 clans that helped create the village along with the Uchiha clan. So the class went over their Konoha history for the rest of the day before they had a break for lunch and did shuriken training. Training Ground 27. Naruto had just gotten out of the academy and was currently entering his private training area. He would have gone with Hinata again, but this was one of 3 days that he had dedicated to training with the Jiongu. As he entered the training area, he saw that there was someone else there. Iruka-sensei? What are you doing here? Naruto asked. His teacher was leaning against one of the trees as he observed the many cuts in another one. Well, Hokage-sama told me that you should clue me in on something since you seem to trust me so much, Iruka said. I have no idea what you're talking about, Naruto said, lying through his teeth. Actually, Naruto-kun, I think that you can let Iruka know, Hiruzen said as he entered the clearing. Are you sure, Gigi? I mean, he never liked me in the beginning, Naruto said, making Iruka guilty at the way he treated Naruto. Don't worry about it, if I hear the villagers talking about your abilities, then we both will know that Iruka is to blame, Hiruzen said. Naruto sighed and said, Okay, Iruka-sensei, whatever you see here, you are not to tell anyone. Got it? Iruka, surprised by Naruto's seriousness of the moment, agreed. Naruto sighed and shrugged off his trenchcoat and showed Iruka the stitches on both of his forearms and the one that ran down his arm. Iruka was shocked to say the least, and even more so when he saw the mask attached to Naruto's back. What happened to you? Iruka cried. Nothing, Naruto said, this is something that I've had since I was born. So Naruto told Iruka the story that the Sandaime told him, causing the academy teacher to look at the Hokage in confusion. The aged leader just sent Iruka a look that he'll explain it later. So what is this? Iruka asked as he motioned to the stitches. Naruto just grinned and held out his arm. Iruka watched in amazement as crimson threads come out of Naruto's skin and began to wiggle around in the air. Naruto then launched his arm at the tree and pulled off an apple that was hanging on the branch. Remember the Taki ninja that attacked the Shodaime? Naruto asked. Iruka nodded, so he continued. This was the special ability that he had. But Hokage-sama told me that he was only able to use all 5 elements, Iruka pointed out. I did, but that was one of the abilities that was granted to him by this special power, Hiruzen said. What do you mean? Iruka asked. I can take the hearts of my enemies and use their elemental affinities, Naruto said. But I can only use their primary affinity according to the scroll. That's a little creepy, Iruka said. Hiruzen chuckled and said, just wait for the next part. You'll probably be in shock. Iruka just looked at the Sandaime before looking back at Naruto. The boy had placed his hands in the Tora seal and began to concentrate. Jiongu, activate! Naruto cried as the mask on his back began to jump, pulling the skin with it. The stitching along Naruto's back opened up and his fire heart jumped out after morphing into its 9-tailed fox form. Iruka was about to panic, but a quick reassuring glacé from Hiruzen was all he needed to keep calm. Is this another ability of the Jiongu? Iruka asked. Yup. I can make bodies for the hearts I get with my threads, isn't that awesome? Databeo! Naruto cried as he grinned. This is a really interesting ability. But can it help you with making a bunshin? Iruka asked with a smirk. Naruto just dropped his head in shame as he remembered that was his worst jutsu. What's this about the bunshin no jutsu? Hiruzen asked. It's my worst jutsu. Every time I try it, it fails. Naruto wailed. I keep telling you to put more chakra into it. Iruka yelled. I put as much chakra into it as possible. Naruto yelled back. Before the two could continue yelling, the sound of someone face-palming could be heard. The two looked over to see the Hokage with a red handprint on his face as he looked at the two with annoyance. Naruto, instead of trying to put all your chakra into just one clone, try to make many clones, Hiruzen said. Try to make at least 20. Naruto looked at the old man with confusion but complied. He began to focus his chakra in the way he was supposed to when making clones, but instead of trying to make just one illusion, he focused on making at least 20 clones. Bunshin no jutsu! Naruto cried as the small clearing they were in was enveloped in a large cloud of white smoke. After a lot of coughing and hacking from everyone who had inhaled some of it, they opened their eyes and the two younger males dropped their jaws in shock. The field was filled to the brim with Naruto bunshins. There were bunshins in the trees, hanging off of tree branches, and there were even bunshins that were standing on top of one another. As I thought, Hiruzen muttered. But, how? He can't even make one. Iruka cried. Hiruzen sighed and said, the answer's simple, Naruto has more chakra than half the village. So when you kept telling him to put more chakra in the jutsu, you were unintentionally making him overload the jutsu. Ha! I knew I was awesome. Naruto cried as he ran around the field cheering. Iruka put his head down in shame and said, maybe we should check the chakra levels of students in the year we start going over chakra. I'll be sure to mention that in the next council meeting, Hiruzen said as he watched Naruto cheer with amusement. Naruto-kun, come here for a moment, Hiruzen said. Naruto jogged over to the Sandaime after he dispelled the bunshin and cleared the field of them. What's up, Gigi? Naruto asked as he grinned at him. The Hokage smiled and said, since you seem to have an abundance of chakra, I think I'll teach you a new jutsu. He held up a hand to stop the boy from celebrating. However, I'll only teach you this jutsu if you can make at least 7 bunshin. Naruto grinned and said, get ready to teach me a new jutsu, Gigi. I'll be waiting, it'll be a nice break from all the paperwork that I have to do, Hiruzen said with a chuckle. Now then, I believe it's time I got back to my office, the Hokage said, preparing to do a shunshin. Wait, Gigi. Naruto said, preventing him from leaving. Is something wrong? Iruka asked as he watched the blonde with worry in his eyes. Yeah, I seem to know a jutsu, but I've never known about it before, Naruto said. Maybe you're starting to activate another part of the Jiongu, Hiruzen told him. When Naruto looked at him in confusion, he continued. You are able to learn the jutsu that the person whose heart you took knows. My thoughts are that since you've matured some more mentally, you are starting to discover them. So I should start to know more jutsu now? Naruto asked. Yes, you will be discovering that you know jutsu that you originally didn't know, Hiruzen explained. Promise me that you will be careful with any new jutsu, proper practice with them will help you to use them better. Don't worry, Gigi, I promise, Naruto said as he gave the Sandaime a reassuring grin. The Hokage then vanished in a puff of smoke, leaving just Naruto and Iruka in the clearing. Hey, Iruka-sensei, Naruto began, does this mean that if I want to make just one clone, I just try to put in as little chakra as possible? Iruka nodded and said, yes, and I'm sorry, if I had realized that you had more chakra than normal, I would have been able to properly help you. Naruto waved him off and told him, it's fine. The important thing is that we know the problem now. You know something, Naruto, Iruka started, I envy you. You envy me? Naruto asked. Why would you be jealous of me? Iruka smiled at him and said, because you're able to look on the bright side of everything. So how about I treat you to some ramen as a form of apology? Now Naruto wouldn't accept any type of apology unless it was an oral one, but when it came to apology ramen, all his morals went out the window, especially if he was the one that didn't have to pay for any of it. Yay! Ramen, let's go get some ramen. Naruto sang as he began to skip towards Ichiraku's. Iruka followed him, already feeling his wallet getting lighter. He would have to hold another funeral for it tonight. Chapter 6, Graduation and Revelation. Konoha 12 years after Kyuubi attack. For once in his life, Naruto Uzumaki woke up before his alarm clock, something that has been prophesied to bring about the end of the world. Besides him not eating ramen. Of course, it may have to do with the fact that he was going to graduate from the academy today and earn his headband alongside the rest of his classmates. Naruto, getting more and more excited, jumped out of bed and ran out to his balcony where he held out his arms and felt the cool breeze touch over his skin. After observing the rising sun illuminate Konoha some more, he walked back in to see that his breakfast was already made, and Fox sitting next to the table. Naruto grinned as he looked at Fox. He had finally found a way to make his heart have a little bit of a personality. It was difficult, but being Naruto, he didn't give up until he got something. Thankfully, it was something positive. All it took was installing a bunch of commands into the threads that were connected to the heart. It was a long and tiring process, mostly due to the fact that he wanted Fox to act like a fox and have a little human qualities, like cleaning and such. After eating his cereal, he called Fox back into his body. He had decided to sleep with his heart out, mostly because it was very uncomfortable when he went on his back. Naruto then put on his trenchcoat and walked out the door. He then made his way to the Hyuga compound. Hyuga compound? Aren't you early, Naruto-san? One of the guards asked as he and his partner watched the young Uzumaki approach. Yeah, I'm just a little excited today, Naruto told them. Today's the day I become a ninja. Good luck then, we hope that you make it, the other guard said as he gave the blonde a small smile. After walking past the gate guards, he was waiting by the front porch of the house that Hinata's family stayed. He dozed off after a while of waiting as he sat on a small bench. He groggily awoke sometime later to an anpine tapping on his shoulder. After getting up and rubbing away the sleep from his eyes, he looked around to see that nobody was within his sight. Boo! A small white sheet with eye holes yelled as it popped up in front of Naruto. Ghost! Naruto screamed as he jumped into the air and grabbed onto the roof of the porch, digging a few tendrils into it to keep him up there. Suddenly, the sheet began to giggle before it was pulled up to reveal a smiling Hanabi. Got you, Nato-Nei-san, Hanabi said while giggling. Naruto groaned while he separated himself from the roof and landed in front of the giggling girl while sporting an evil smile. So little Hanabi-chan likes to laugh, hmm? Naruto thought out loud as he took small steps towards the young Hyuga. Hanabi's eyes went wide as she started to back up, realizing what Naruto was about to do. However, she found that she couldn't move and looked down to see that Naruto had sent some threads to wrap around her legs while she was distracted. And Nato-Nei-san, I'll be a good girl, Hanabi said as she felt some more threads wrap around her arms and hold them up while some others wiggled slowly down her arms and into her shirt. Naruto-kun, as much as I would hate tea to ruin your and Hanabi-chan's fun, we really need tea to go to the A Academy, Hinata said as she stepped out onto the porch while slightly hiding behind the door. Naruto sighed and retracted the threads, letting Hanabi go as she ran up to her sister and hugged her. Thank you, Nei-chan. Nato-Nei-san was going to make me too tired for training again. Hanabi said. Maybe you should remember that it's not nice to play with people's fears, Hayashi said as he appeared behind the sisters. Unless it's someone you don't like. Naruto then put on a triumphant grin and said, yeah. Maybe I'll put on an octopus costume and wait for you to wake up. If you did that, you'll probably end up with a jukin palm strike to the stomach, Hayashi pointed out. Hanabi is one of those people who attack when scared. Unlike you who decides to go and inspect roofs. Naruto just gave Hayashi a small glare before he huffed and turned around. Hayasho just chuckled and ushered both him and Hinata out to the academy and sent Hanabi inside. You know you want a son, Hitomi said as she gave him a small smile. I did, after Hinata, but I'm happy with my daughters, Hayashi told her. Besides, it's entertaining to mess with Naruto once in a while. It's like watching Kushina all over again. Hitomi giggled and said, except there's no pile of boys who can't keep their mouths closed every 2 blocks. Hayashi groaned and said, don't remind me, I was in one of those piles at least 3 times a week. Hizashi was the smarter of you two, Hitomi said. I remember the amusement on his face when he would have to drag you home after running into Kushi-chan. The elders kept belittling me for being beaten by a witless nobody every time it happened, the Hyuga head muttered. Remind me why they're still here? Hitomi asked. Because the stick that they all have seems to grant them with extended life, Hayashi told her. Academy. Naruto and Hinata entered the classroom to see that they were still a little early. The only people there were Shikamaru, Choji, Shino, and a few other kids who were unimportant. The duo took their seats in front of Shikamaru and Choji. As usual, the Nara was sleeping and the Akimichi was chomping on a bag of chips. Hey guys, what's up? Naruto greeted as he sat down. Hi Naruto, Hinata, everything's fine, I'm just a little nervous about this exam, Choji said, I mean, what if I fail? Troublesome, you're not going to fail Choji, Shikamaru said as he laid his head on his arms and looked at his round friend. All you need to do is stay calm and do your best. Yeah. What Shikamaru said, Databeo. Naruto agreed. Why you'll do fine Choji-kun, Hinata reassured the Akimichi. Choji visibly relaxed and said, thanks guys, I really needed that. While the 3 friends were talking, several more people walked into the room after them. Including Sasuke and Kiba, though the latter was sporting a small bruise on his cheek. Whoa, what happened to you, man? Naruto asked. I got into an argument with one of my clan members, and it kinda got to the point where we were throwing punches, Kiba explained as he rubbed the back of his head, making sure not to knock Akamaru off of his spot. Naruto was able to get Kiba to warm up to him and got the dog lover to join him and his friends whenever they hung out. What were you guys arguing about? Choji asked. Kiba sighed aid, which dog food would be better for our partners. Really? Fighting over something like that is so troublesome, Shikamaru said as he readjusted his head so it was facing Kiba, but still laying down. It was at that moment that the whole building began to shake, causing everyone to grab onto something to keep steady. What is this? An earthquake. Kiba cried as he held onto the desk for dear life. I don't think so. It doesn't seem like a normal one. Choji yelled as he tried to keep himself steady. How would you know what a real earthquake is and what isn't? Naruto cried. I'll tell you later. Choji yelled as he grabbed a flying bag of chips with his teeth. Hinata had then lost her grip on the desk after another violent shake and was about to hit her head on the floor when Naruto reached out and grabbed her by her midriff and held her tightly against his body. If she wasn't so frightened at the moment, she might have fainted with happy thoughts. First. Suddenly, the door flew open and the shaking stopped. Everyone looked over to see that Ino and Sakura were arguing about who got to the academy first, the winner getting the right to sit next to Sasuke. Everyone sighed, relieved that it wasn't a real earthquake, and annoyed that the two females had practically gave them some heart attacks. I almost had a heart attack, Naruto sighed. He then realized that he was holding Hinata next to him, who had fainted when she realized her position. Naruto placed her back into her seat, but if one looked closely, they would have seen a small blush on his cheeks. Wow, she's so soft and oh. Bad thoughts. Naruto shook his head to get his head clear. Shikamaru sighed and sank back into his seat. I can't believe they made me do something as troublesome as preparing for an earthquake. Yeah, saving your own life is so troublesome, Kiba told him while rolling his eyes, getting some of the people nearby to chuckle. Shikamaru just shrugged it off and went back to sleep with a snore. Naruto, deciding to wake Hinata up, took out one of the emergency cinnamon buns and waved it underneath Hinata's nose. Her eyes popped open and, quick as lightning, snatched the item out of Naruto's hand before devouring it. Welcome back to the land of the living, Choji joked as he watched the ordeal. He would have tried to take the cinnamon bun before Naruto waved it under the Hyuga's nose, but remembered the last time he tried that. The jukin is something that's very painful. Everyone sit down and shut up. Irika yelled as he walked into the room and used his big head jutsus to get everyone's attention. After everyone sat down, Irika took his place in the front of the room and addressed the class. Today we're going to be holding the graduation exams to see who is able to become a shinobi of Konohagakure no Sato. The exam will be conducted in 4 parts, a written test, kunai and shuriken, a taijutsu endurance test, and performing the 3 basic jutsu that all shinobi know how to use. We'll begin once Mizuki decides to get here with the written test. Naruto was only a little scared. Written tests weren't his forte, nor were they his worst. It was just that he preferred to do active works instead of writing things down. A few minutes later, Mizuki came into the classroom with a small box in his arms. Sorry I'm late, Irika, I had misplaced the box so I tore up the room looking for it, Mizuki said as he rubbed his head sheepishly. Irika waved him off and said, just hand me the box so I can pass them out. Mizuki nodded and handed the box to Irika while cursing on the inside. He was supposed to pass them out so he could place a genjutsu on the Demon Brats test. After the written test was over, seriously, who cares about written tests? The only one that matters is the one in the Chunin exams. Everyone went outside to prepare for the next test. The one where they would throw kunai and shuriken at the target and try to earn as much points as possible. Okay, I'll call you guys up alphabetical order, so Shino's up first, Irika said as he grabbed a clipboard to keep score. Shino walked up to the starting point and grabbed 10 kunai and shuriken. He first threw the kunai, half of them hitting a bullseye, and 2 of them hiding the target ring. He then moved on to the next target and threw his shuriken, 6 had hit their bullseye and 1 had hit the target. Good work, Shino. Next up is Choji, Irika said as he marked down Shino's score. Shoji walked up and grabbed his own set of kunai and shuriken. For the kunai, 3 of them hit the bullseye while 3 more hit the target. With the shuriken, 4 of them hit the bullseye and 2 more hit the target. Nice job, next is Sakura, Irika announced. Watch me Sasuke kun. The pink banzai mean Sakura screeched as she grabbed the weaponry and began to throw them. Everyone held their ears to prevent them from bleeding. Sakura prepared to throw the kunai and wait, why am I telling you guys about her? Who cares, she just passed with the bare minimum that was needed to pass. Now let's move on to the important people. Next is Hinata, Irika said, not really paying attention to Sakura. That was until she almost took off a chunk of his hair with a kunai. He was about ready to fail her for almost ruining his fashion, but was able to keep himself under control. Don't worry Hinata-chan, you'll do great. Naruto reassured the timid heiress as she approached the throwing point. Hinata took a deep breath and grabbed her set of kunai and shuriken. For the kunai, all of them hit her target while 7 of them hit the bullseye. With the shuriken, only 8 of them hit the target, and all of them hit the bullseye. Great job Hinata. Irika praised. Hinata blushed under his praise and walked back to where her friends were. As she looked down to hide her blush, she bumped into someone and looked up to see the smiling face of Naruto. That was great Hinata-chan. Naruto said. Hinata turned into a tomato and stuttered a thanks as she turned away and watched the others as they did their exam. Kiba, you're up next, Irika said as he watched the young Inuzuka race towards the starting point and grabbed a set of kunai and shuriken. Kiba did decently with the weapons, considering the fact that his clan likes to be up close and personal when fighting. He got 5 bullseyes with the kunai, and 3 hits in the target area. He got 4 bullseye with the shuriken and had 2 hits in the target area. Good job Kiba, next is Shikamaru. Troublesome, let's get this over with, Shikamaru muttered as he trudged forward. He grabbed the set and began to throw them. He got 3 bullseyes and 3 hits with the kunai, and 5 bullseyes and 2 hits with the shuriken. The only reason he put any effort into it was because he didn't want to have his score anywhere near Sakura's. Good work Shikamaru, Sasuke, you're next, Irika said as he marked down the Nara's score. Sasuke said as he walked forward and grabbed his set. He threw all of his weapons and got all bullseyes with each one. Excellent Sasuke. Irika praised, but he couldn't be heard over all of the screaming that all of Sasuke's fangirls did. Sasuke grunted as walked back to his corner to fantasize about killing Itachi. The only reason Sasuke won was because Itachi was sick and he didn't want to kill his little brother. Naruto, it's your turn, Irika said as he watched the young blonde step forward. Yash. I'm up, Dadabayo. Naruto cried as he grabbed his set of kunai and shuriken. For the junai, 8 of them hit the bullseye and the other 2 hit close to it. 9 of his shuriken hit the bullseye and the last one missed when it bounced off of another one, but it still hit the target. Great job Naruto. Irika said as he watched the blonde cheer. That was GG great Naruto-kun. Hinata softly exclaimed. It was, wasn't it? Naruto asked with a smile on his face. Yeah, but you didn't get the best score, Choji pointed out. Naruto shrugged his shoulders and said, so? As long as I pass, it's good enough for me. Last one up is Ino, Irika said. The young Yamanaka walked up and grabbed her set of kunai and shuriken. When she threw her kunai, she was able to get 5 bullseye and 2 hits in the target. For the shuriken, she got 5 bullseye and 3 hits. That's it for this part of the exam, Irika said. Now let's move on to the training area for the taijutsu portion of the exam. Everyone started to move towards the taijutsu field where Mizuki was finishing up some stretches. Alright, this exam is going to be fairly simple, Irika said as he stood in front of the group. You guys are going to have matches against Mizuki here. The goal is to last at least 2 minutes against him. Once the 2 minutes are up, you can quit. Now let's get started. Because I'm lazy, we're going to skip everyone and go straight to Naruto. Why? Because I'm the author and I say so. Okay Naruto, you're up, Irika said as he watched Sasuke stalk off of the field and go back into his little fantasy world where he stood on top of 20 Itachi corpses. Let's get started, Dadabayo. Naruto exclaimed as he jumped into the field and faced Mizuki. Mizuki smirked and said, "Well, aren't you confident? This is going to be easy. All I have to do is knock him out of the ring." Naruto grinned and got into his personal stance before he stared down Mizuki. Mizuki started off the match by dashing towards Naruto and aiming a punch towards his head. Naruto ducked underneath it and threw a fist towards Mizuki's side. The academy teacher retreated to gain some distance, but Naruto raced forward to keep him from getting any room. Naruto threw a punch towards Mizuki's stomach, and the Chunin turned to the side to let Naruto's hit fly past him while he went to knee the student in the stomach. The hit sent Naruto back towards the edge of the ring. "Oi, Mizuki-sensei, that was a little hard," Naruto said as he hunched over a little. "Well, you can expect your enemies to hit you harder when you're out on a mission," Mizuki replied. Naruto smirked and said, "Then let's keep going, this little thing isn't going to stop me." Naruto raced forward and aimed a kick at Mizuki. The Chunin grabbed the outstretched leg and proceeded to throw Naruto away. The Uzumaki landed dangerously close to TE edge and almost fell out until he caught himself and regained his balance. Mizuki then charged towards Naruto and threw a punch towards him in an attempt to send him out of the ring. Naruto twisted his body and went to punch him out of the ring. Time! Iruka yelled as his watch signaled 2 minutes. Naruto jumped back and wiped the small amount of sweat from his brow. "Phew! That was intense, Mizuki-sensei," Naruto said. Mizuki nodded his head, but was screaming in anger on the inside. Another chance was lost. Later, once everyone had finished with their taijutsu matches, Iruka had moved everyone inside where they would finish up with the ninjutsu exam. They would wait in one room before being called into a separate room for testing. Naruto was standing in front of Iruka and Mizuki where they sat at the desk with a small row of headbands with them. Despite his confidence, Naruto was slightly fidgeting with a little nervousness in the back of his head. "Okay, Naruto, you just need to perform the 3 basic ninjutsu," Iruka began, meaning that you have to do a henge, kawarimi, and make at least 3 bunshin. "Got it?" "Yeah, let's do this," Naruto cried, making the 2 academy instructors chuckle. "If only we could grade him on his confidence," Mizuki muttered, keeping up his nice guy act. "First, henge into the Sandaime and act like him for a few seconds," Iruka said. "Got it, henge." Naruto transformed into Hiruzen Sarutobi perfectly and stared down at the 2 instructors. "Iruka," the transformed Naruto began in Hiruzen's voice, "you should really think about becoming a Jounin sensei one of these days." "You too, Mizuki." After that, Naruto poofed back into himself while sporting a wide grin. "Good job, Naruto," Mizuki said while straining his smile to make it look sincere. "Okay, next we'll do the kawarimi, ready?" Iruka asked as he prepared to throw a blunted kunai at the blonde. "Yup, let me have it," Naruto said. Iruka chucked the kunai at Naruto and it hit the blonde in the chest. Naruto's eyes went wide before white smoke erupted around him and revealed himself to be a wooden log. The real Naruto came out of the closet that was behind where he was standing. "Praise the log," Naruto said while holding his hands in a small prayer. "Amen," both Iruka and Mizuki said as they did a small prayer as well. "Now I just have to do some bunshins, right?" Naruto asked. Iruka nodded and said, "You just have to do at least 3. "Okay, here I go." "Databeo!" Naruto exclaimed as he made the hand seal and a cloud of smoke blinded the room. "We really need to do something about how much smoke you use," Iruka said as he waved the smoke out the window. Once the smoke was clear, Iruka looked back to see 5 Narutos standing before him. "Excellent, Naruto. You're now an official ninja of Konoha," Iruka praised as he handed Naruto his headband. "Ha ha! I did it, Databeo!" Naruto cheered as he grabbed his headband and ran out the room. "Oh great, now I'm going to have to change my plan," Mizuki thought as he closed his eyes in frustration, Iruka oblivious to his friend's thoughts. Naruto ran out of the room and raced out of the building to see all the people who had graduated and were showing off to their parents. As he walked over to where Hinata and her guard Ko would be waiting, he heard people whispering about him. "I can't believe they let that thing graduate. How could they let it become more powerful?" After all, he's dash. Quiet. You know it's forbidden to talk about it. Naruto just shrugged off the comments and walked over to where his blue-haired friend was. Hinata beamed upon seeing Naruto with a headband around his forehead. Naruto saw the headband that Hinata had around her neck, and in the back of his head, thought that she looked cute with it like that. I am so glad that you passed Naruto-kun, Hinata said as she gave him a soft smile. Hee, yeah, now we can go on missions and become awesome ninja, Naruto said. Naruto-san, Kobigan, Hayashi-sama and Hitomi-sama have invited you to join them for dinner in celebration of your graduation. Really? That sounds great. Naruto said as he smiled brightly. Later that night, training ground 27. Naruto had left the Hyuga compound after a large, filling dinner and decided to visit his private training grounds for a small trip down memory lane. He remembered making all those slash marks and drilling holes in the trees and chuckled as he remembered every time he got frustrated when it wouldn't work. But now he was highly skilled with his Jiongu, and there was still so much to learn. He was broken out of his thoughts when he heard some fighting in the distance. Now being at one of Konoha's training grounds, this wasn't anything unusual, but it was strange for people to be out here at this time of the day. Naruto ran through the woods and crawled through some bushes when he saw who was there. In front of him was Mizuki and Irika. The former was twirling a giant shuriken in one hand while another one was strapped to his back. Irika was pinned to the tree by several shuriken, next to him was a large scroll. Why are you betraying us, Mizuki? Irika yelled. Naruto was shocked. One of his instructors was betraying the village he had sworn to serve? Because Irika, this village is falling to pieces, Mizuki began. The wise Hokage lets a monster run free in our village and then has the nerve to tell us that it's a human like us. You're delusional. Irika yelled. Maybe I am in your eyes, but your opinion won't matter when you're dead. Mizuki yelled as he threw the shuriken he was twirling towards Irika. Naruto jumped out of the bushes and caught the shuriken by the middle ring before throwing it away. And Naruto? Irika cried as he saw the blonde appear in front of him. Irika-sensei, are you alright? Naruto asked as he kept his eye on Mizuki, who appeared to be surprised by Naruto's interference as well. Mizuki got out of his shock and said, well, what do we have here? The demon brats decided to show up as well. Now I can blame you for Irika's death before I kill you and get rid of your filth. Naruto growled and said, my name is Naruto Uzumaki, remember it, you team. Naruto, you have to get away from here. Irika yelled. I'm not going to leave you here, Irika-sensei, Naruto declared. Mizuki smirked and said, say Naruto, do you want to know why everyone hates you? Naruto froze and looked at Mizuki with curious eyes, making the traitor almost laugh at how innocent the demon tried to appear. Don't do it, Mizuki. Irika yelled. It's forbidden. You see, 12 years ago, the Kyuubi no Kitsune attacked the village and was defeated by the Yondaime, who sacrificed himself in the process, Mizuki said. Naruto looked at him and asked, what does this have to do with anything? After the attack, a law was made. A law that everyone except you knows about, Mizuki said. What law? Naruto asked, almost afraid to find out. Mizuki, shut up. Irika yelled in vain. A law that hid the fact that you are the Kyuubi reborn. Now die, you damn fox. Mizuki cried as he threw his last giant shuriken. Naruto was frozen in shock at the revelation and didn't even register what Mizuki just did. He then heard the sound of flesh being ripped and some blood falling on his face. Naruto looked up to see the smiling face of Irika. Hey, Irika began while a small trail of blood trailed down his lips. You alright, Naruto? It was at this time that Naruto realized that his sensei had ripped himself free and used his body to shield the blonde. Irika, sensei? Naruto whispered as he shook in fear. Am I really the Kyuubi? No, Irika said as he shook his head, you just contain it. I admit, I hate the Kyuubi, but I don't hate Naruto Uzumaki, the future Hokage of Konoha. With that statement, Irika ripped out the shuriken that was in him and threw it to the side. Naruto was at tears at this point and a few had made their way down his cheeks. My, how touching, Mizuki mocked. Now let's get to the part where I kill you both already. Mizuki then lunged forward, kunai in hand, and went to stab Irika in the back of the head. However, he found that he couldn't move as soon as he got within 5 feet of the Chunin. He looked towards his arm and saw crimson threads wrapped around him. He followed the trail of them and was shocked when he saw them disappearing into Naruto's skin. If you ever attack my sensei again, I'll kill you. Naruto growled as his threads squirmed through the air. D-Demon! Mizuki yelled as he struggled to get away from the threads. Naruto threw the traitorous Chunin into a tree and began to stitch up the wound on Irika's back. Once he was satisfied with his work, he turned around and watched as Mizuki trembled while holding a kunai in his direction. All traitors to Konoha must be killed, Naruto said in an emotionless voice as he took off his trenchcoat and handed it to Irika, who took it and watched Naruto as he slowly walked forward to Mizuki. Jiongu, activate! Naruto shouted as he put his hands into the Tora seal. Fox had come out of his back and slowly walked towards Mizuki along with Naruto. Doton, Earth Flow Spears! Mizuki yelled as he slammed his hands into the ground. A wave of rock-made spears shot out of the ground and made their way to Naruto and Fox. Both of the thread users jumped out of the way and landed in the trees where Naruto started to make several hand seals. Katan, Fire Bullet Jutsu! Naruto yelled as he and Fox began to shoot several small fireballs at Mizuki. The former academy instructor jumped away and looked around frantically for his opponents. He threw a kunai into the tree where he saw a flash of crimson, but only ended up hitting the tree. He backed up against a tree and grabbed one of his giant shuriken that was nearby. Katan, Fireball Jutsu! Naruto shouted as he and Fox simultaneously blew out fireballs that were about their size. Mizuki jumped into the trees and landed on a branch when Fox leapt at him and tried to slice him with its claws. The traitor jumped back, only to be sent flying forward by Naruto, who had kicked the traitor in the back. Naruto landed in front of Mizuki, and Fox landed behind him. Stay away! Mizuki yelled as he held the giant shuriken out in front of him like a shield. Naruto just ignored him and held out his arms as several tendrils shot towards him and wrapped him up. But Mizuki then fell apart into mud. Iwa Bunshin, Naruto muttered as he looked around for Mizuki. Doton, Earth Fist! Mizuki yelled as he appeared behind Naruto and attempted to slam his rock-covered fist into the blonde's head. Naruto was hit and crumpled into the ground before he erupted into smoke. What? Kage Bunshin! Mizuki exclaimed. He then jumped to the side as the real Naruto slammed his fist into the ground where he stood. Fox then blew out a fireball at Mizuki once Naruto was out of its range. Doton, Dorihiki! Mizuki slammed his hands on the ground and a wall of stone rose up and defended him from the fire. Jiongu, Threading Needles! Naruto cried as he shot threads towards Mizuki and wrapped him up in them. This time, it was the real one that was captured. Let me go, Kyubi! Mizuki yelled. Naruto gave him a cold glare and said, "No, you're going to get what traitors deserve." Well said, Naruto-kun. Everyone turned to see Hiruzen standing there along with Tsunade's 6anbu with him. How long have you been here, Jiji, Bachan? Naruto asked. Tsunade put a hand to his chin and said, about the same time the Mizuki clone fell to pieces. Ah, you missed all of my cool jutsu, Naruto whined as he tightened his grip on Mizuki. He then looked back over to his prisoner and asked, do you need this guy for interrogation or anything? Hiruzen shook his head and said, no, he was foolish enough to write his plans out and failed to burn everything before he left his apartment. So we know who he was working for and that there was nobody else involved in this. He even wrote down the place that he was going to drop off the scroll at. Naruto's face lightly lit up and he asked, does that mean that I can take it? Yes, Mizuki is now useless to us when it comes to information, Hiruzen said. Naruto turned around and faced Mizuki with an unnerving smile on his face. Mizuki struggled harder to get away, but the threads were very tight. Naruto raised his free arm and aimed it at Mizuki, or more precisely, his chest. Several threads shot out and impacted against Mizuki's chest before they began to dig into him. Mizuki let out screams of pain, but only Naruto and Irika were affected. Naruto because this was only the second time he did it, and Irika because Mizuki used to be his friend. But now that Irika thought about it, Mizuki rarely acted friendly in the past. Mizuki's screams stopped once the threads began to pull something out of him. First they ripped off his Chunin vest and part of his shirt before a moving object was hanging in the air. Once the threads disconnected from Mizuki, he dropped down to the ground, dead. Naruto closed his eyes for a moment as a pulse of blue chakra traveled up to the heart and engulfed it for a moment. He opened his eyes and said, "It's a earth element." Irika-sensei, can you throw me the scroll in my coat pocket? Irika, still stunned by the event, just nodded dumbly and threw Naruto the scroll. The Uzumaki opened it up and pressed his hand on the kanji for earth and pushed some chakra into it. From the scroll came a squarish mask that had a slightly open mouth and yellow markings on it. Naruto placed the mask on the heart and everyone watched as more crimson threads began to wrap around the heart and began to take the shape of a humanoid figure. The mass of threads fell to the floor and became a tall figure, about 7 feet high, with thick arms that had 4-fingered hands. Thick legs came from the bottom and allowed the creature to stand on its own. The mask settled on the middle of the chest, right between its large shoulders. I really need some of you people to draw for me. As I said before, on my profile, I am a horrible artist. Can someone please help me? Everyone, meet Titan. Naruto introduced the crimson construct as it took a bow. Very interesting, Naruto, Tsunade said as she inspected the creature. I assume that it's going to be a defense type for you? Naruto shrugged and said, more or less. Depends on the type of ninja I fight. Hiruzen was confused. What do you mean? He asked. Well, remember Irika-sensei saying the water is weak to earth, so I'll fight water users with Titan since he'll be able to beat them easily. Irika laughed and said, so you really do remember my boring lectures, you brat. Naruto placed his hands behind his head and said, well, you do repeat them about 3 times a year. Irika blushed and looked away in embarrassment. The ANBU had taken Mizuki's body away for examination of any items on him, to see whether they had any connection to who he was originally working for. Good work, Naruto, you'll receive a B-rank payment for this later, I'll give it to you when you come in to take your picture for your ID card, Hiruzen said. ANBU, take Irika to the hospital for proper treatment. Tsunade, go with them, I'll take Naruto to get some ramen. It's about time for my break anyway. Yay! Ramen! Naruto cheered as he ran around the Hokage happily. Everyone, except the ANBU, chuckled at the Uzumaki's antics before they went about their business. Chapter 7, Teams are Made. Konoha Academy. For the second time in his life, Naruto was early to the academy, and for good reasons this time too. Today was the day that he would be assigned to a team to begin their careers as shinobi of Konoha. He hoped and prayed that he would be put on a team with his friends, and with a sensei that liked him. His thoughts were interrupted when he felt a hand on his shoulder. He looked up to see Hinata looking at him with concern in her eyes. Hey, are you okay, and Naruto-kun? Hinata asked. Naruto smiled and said, don't worry, Hinata-chan, I was just thinking about what teams we were going to be on. I really hope that we're on TT the same team, Hinata said with a blush on her face. Me too, I really hope that neither of us are paired with the team in Banshee, that would suck. I can hear you, you baka. Sakura screeched as she gave a glare at Naruto. And Sasuke-kun is not a team. He's the most wonderful person in the world. Did you hear something, Hinata-chan? Kiba? Shikamaru? How about you, Choji? Or you, Shino? Naruto asked. You say something, Naruto? Kiba asked as he pulled out the earplugs that were in his and Akamaru's ears. Zzz, Shikamaru slept through the whole thing. Choji swallowed his chips and said, I didn't hear anything. I thought I heard something, Naruto-san, but I then realized that it was just hot air being blown through the room, Shino said. Everyone stopped what they were doing and started at Shino with wide eyes. Did Shino just make a joke? Kiba asked. Shino frowned and said, I am trying to become more social with all of my friends. Did I say something wrong? No. Naruto reassured. We were just shocked that you made a joke. You're usually a quiet person, so it was a shock to us. I see, perhaps I should become more social with everyone before I start creating jokes. That seems like the most logical thing to do, Shino said. Troublesome, there's just so many surprises today, Shikamaru sighed. Hinata then tapped Naruto on the shoulder, causing him to look over. I saw that there's another small bee bump on your coat. Did you get another H heart? She whispered. Luckily, Kiba was in an argument with Ino and couldn't hear her. Yeah, I'll tell you all about it later, Naruto said. Hinata nodded and leaned back into her chair. Just then Irika walked in with the support of some crutches. Irika-sensei, what happened to you? Hinata asked. There was an incident in the village a few days ago and I got hurt in the process, Irika told her. But if there was a problem, why didn't they have Sasuke-kun help? Sakura asked, making most of the class roll their eyes at the Kunoichi hopeful's devotion to the Uchiha Scion. Irika sent her a glare and said, because Sakura, the Hokage, wanted all Chunin and above to be involved because of how serious it was. Sakura just blushed and looked away, but the rest of the class was laughing at the Pinkette's embarrassment. Now if you would all kindly shut up now, I'm going to be announcing the teams that have been made. Some of you may not like them, but that's how it's going to be, Irika said as he placed a clipboard on the podium and began to read off of it. Teams 1 to 6 are unimportant. Team 7 will be made up of Sasuke Uchiha, Irika began, making every girl go onto the edge of their seats in anticipation. Sakura Haruno dash. Yes. True love conquers all. Sakura yelled as she stood up on her seat and cheered. Sasuke was crying on the inside because he could already see how annoying this would be. Why does Forehead get to be with Sasuke-kun? It should be me. Ino yelled. Shut it, Ino pig. Sakura growled. Heh, I pity the guy who gets stuck with them, Kiba said as he leaned back into his chair. And Kiba Inuzuka. Your sensei will be Kakashi Hatake, Irika finished. What? Kiba yelled as he fell out of his chair in shock. Akamaru jumped from the falling boy and landed in Hinata's lap where she began to console the whining pooch. Naruto patted Kiba on the back and said, Good luck, man, I hope you survive. I'm doomed, Kiba wailed as he sunk to his knees. Akamaru let out a howl of despair alongside his partner. I really feel bad for Kiba, but I can't really do anything about it except pray to Kami that it all turns out well for him, Irika thought as he watched the whole ordeal. Team 8, Irika began, will be made up of Shino Aburame, Hinata Hyuga. Please let Naruto-kun /me be on my /Hinata-chan's team, Hinata and Naruto thought simultaneously. And Naruto Uzumaki. Your sensei will be Kurenai Yuhi, Irika finished, silently thanking Kami for allowing those friends to stay together. Naruto grinned when he heard that he would be with his friends. He turned towards Hinata and gave her a fox-like grin while she just blushed, but had a small smile on her face. Yash! Let's become the best ninja team ever, Hinata-chan, Shino. Naruto declared. Both of them just nodded in agreement. Team 9 is still active from last year, so we're going to move on, Irika said. Team 10 will be made up of Choji Akimichi, Shikamaru Nara, and Ino Yamanaka. Your sensei will be Asuma Sarutobi. Why am I stuck with these two lazy bums? Ino wailed as she slammed her head on the desk. Irika then looked at all the kids in his class and said, You'll meet your Jonin senseis after lunch. So be sure to come back here later. It's been a pleasure teaching you all, and I hope to hear great things about you. With that said, he hobbled out of the room, leaving everyone else to their own devices. Jounin Lounge. Kurenai Yuhi was a newly promoted Jounin and was already being assigned a team. She was a young woman with light skin and a slender build. She had long black hair that reached her shoulders and was kept out of her face by her headband. She was wearing an outfit that seemed to be made of bandages while only her right arm was sleeved. Her hands and upper thighs were wrapped in bandages. She sighed as she remembered the events that had happened in the Hokage's office earlier that day. Flashback Sandaime's office. Hokage-sama, I believe that there is a problem with the team assignments, Kurenai said as she stood before the Hokage with another Jounin next to her. He was a relatively tall man with silver, spiky, gravity-defying hair. He was wearing the standard Jonin outfit, complete with the vest. The lower half of his face was covered by a mask and his forehead protector was covering his left eye. The right one was lazily reading an orange-covered book while he nodded in agreement. "I have to agree with her, Hokage-sama," the Jonin said. Hiruzen sighed. He was expecting this. "What seems to be the problem, Kakashi, Kurenai?" "I formally put in a request to receive a team made out of Hinata Hyuga, Shino Aburame, and Kiba Inuzuka. Instead, I received Naruto Uzumaki instead of Kiba. I wanted the Uzumaki kid instead of the Inuzuka," Kakashi said. Hiruzen rubbed his temples and said, "If you got the team you wanted, then both of your teams would have been highly unbalanced." Kurenai was confused. "Can you please explain, Hokage-sama?" she asked. "If you had gotten Kiba instead of Naruto, your team would be greatly underpowered. I understand that the Inuzuka clan has a high skill in taijutsu, but with Naruto, he could last longer in a fight. And I'm sure that he would surprise you in one way or another. As for your team, Kakashi, you received Kiba because your team would need a tracker. With Naruto on it instead of Kiba, your team would never be able to track down a target through special means, such as the Inuzuka's relationship with their Nin-ken. But with Naruto on my team, he could form a healthy rivalry with Sasuke and form a bond with him that could keep him tied to the village," Kakashi argued. Hiruzen wanted to punch the man through the wall, but managed to calm himself. "That would never work," Hiruzen said. "Sasuke hates Naruto, Sakura hates Naruto, and Naruto hates them both. That team would collapse the moment you leave them unsupervised. Besides, I think Kiba would be able to give the Uchiha a nice challenge every once in a while." Kakashi just shrugged and turned the page in his book and said, "If that is what you wish, Hokage-sama." He then vanished in a puff of smoke. "I'm still unsure about this," Kurenai said. Hiruzen lit his pipe and said, "Just give it a try, I'm sure you'll like it." Kurenai then vanished in a swirl of leaves, leaving the Hokage all alone. Flashback end. Kurenai then got up and walked out of the lounge and made her way to the academy. "Might as well get this over with," she muttered. Academy noon. Naruto was sitting between Hinata and Shino as they waited for their sensei. Behind them were Kiba, Shikamaru, and Choji. "So when are they going to be here?" Naruto asked. "Possibly any moment now," Shino said as he watched a beetle crawl across his hand. "I hope they get here soon, I'm almost out of chips," Choji said as he popped another one into his mouth. "Team 10? A voice called out. Everyone looked to see a tall man wearing a standard Jonin uniform with his hands in his pockets. He had black hair that was connected to his slightly pointed beard. In his mouth was a cigarette that hung loosely. Shikamaru, Choji, and Ino stood up, though Ino was reluctant, and began to walk out of the door. But before they left, Shikamaru looked over his shoulder. "I'd tell you to wish me luck, but that would be too troublesome," he said as he walked out the door. Choji laughed as he followed his friend. "I should have expected that from that lazy bum," Naruto said as he shook his head. "Does anyone know anything about OOR-sensei?" Hinata asked. "I've never heard of her," Shino said. "I think she's a new Jonin," Kiba said. "At least, that's what I heard from my sister when we were at dinner a few weeks ago." Naruto huffed and said, "I wanted someone who was world famous." Hinata giggled at his antics and Shino just rolled his eyes behind his shades. "Team 8, a voice asked. The members of said team looked over to see Kurenai standing there waiting for them. "Please follow me." "See ya later, Kiba, good luck," Naruto said as he and the others ran out of the room. The newly christened Team 8 was meeting in a nearby dango shop. Of course, they were allowed entry after Kurenai had convinced the owner to let them in. Reason why they couldn't enter? Naruto. This made Shino confused because he couldn't see anything wrong with Naruto that would have been a reason to deny him entry. "So how about we get to know one another?" Kurenai asked as she sat across from her 3 students. "What do you want to know?" Shino asked. "Well, I want to know your likes, dislikes, hobbies, and dreams for the future," Kurenai said. "You know what, I'll start. My name is Kurenai Yuhi. I like genjutsu, my friends, and the village. I dislike perverts and people who think females can't make good kunoichi. My hobbies are gardening and hanging out with my friend Anko. For the future, I want to become a highly skilled genjutsu user. Now how about you, young lady? Hinata blushed and said, My name is Hinata H. Hyuga. I like my FA family, Naruto-kun, and sweet things. I dislike mean people, seafood, and the caged bee-bird seal. My hobbies are flower pressing, training, and spending time with Naruto-kun. I want to become the H. Hyuga head and abolish the seal. I also want to start at FF Family 001 DDDD Day. She finished that last part with a major blush and a discreet look at Naruto, but only Kurenai caught it. Very interesting. Okay, next is Shino, Korean, said. Shino pushed up his glasses and said, My name is Shino Aburame. I like socializing with people who don't fear me, and insects. I dislike those who harm insects for no reason. My hobbies are practicing my social skills and examining insects. My goal for the future is to become the next Aburame clan head. Kurenai blinked and said, Well, that was informative. Okay, Naruto, you finish up. Naruto grinned and began, I'm Naruto Uzumaki. I like ramen, hanging out with my friends, especially Hinata-chan, Gigi, and Bachan. I dislike people who are mean to others for no reason at all, and ghosts. My hobbies are training and practicing with Hinata-chan. My goal is to become the next Hokage. Databeo. I can see that you've got a lot of enthusiasm. That's good, Kurenai said. Now I'm afraid to tell you all this, but you're not really genin yet. Naturally, Naruto was the first to react. What do you mean? He yelled. What I mean is that those genin exams that you took the other day were only there to weed out the weakest of the weak. All jounins who are assigned a squad must administer an additional test to see who can make the cut. What is the test? Shino asked. This test will be given to you all tomorrow. Come to Training Ground 16 at 8 o'clock, and be prepared to work hard if you want to keep those headbands, Kurenai said as she put down some money and left the restaurant. So, Naruto began, who's nervous about this test we're getting? I am a little nervous, Hinata said, but I'm going to do my best. I agree with Hinata-san, we should all put in our best effort if we want to become genin of the village, Shino told him. Alright, let's work together and pass this stupid test. Naruto declared. Both clan heirs nodded in agreement and left the dango shop to go home. However, Naruto stopped Hinata from leaving when Shino was out of sight. And Naruto-kun? Hinata asked. I did promise to tell you about my new heart, right? Naruto said. Hinata nodded and allowed the Uzumaki to lead her to the park where there was barely a soul there. Hinata-chan, can you check to see if anyone's around? Naruto asked. After sweeping the area with her Byakugan, Hinata confirmed that they were all alone. Naruto then took off his trenchcoat and showed Hinata his earth heart. Where did you get it? She asked. Naruto sighed and began to explain, Well, I was hanging around Training Ground 27 after the party your family threw when I ran into Irika-sensei and Mizuki fighting in the forest. Mizuki stole something from the Hokage and was running from the ninja when Irika-sensei caught up to him. Right before he could kill Irika-sensei, I jumped in and began to fight Mizuki. Luckily Irika-sensei managed to tire him out before I fought him. I beat Mizuki and Gigi and Bachan jumped in and said that they got everything that tells them who Mizuki was working for. Then they allowed Mai to take the team's heart. Oh Naruto-kun! Hinata cried as she hugged him tightly. Hey, Hinata-chan! Naruto exclaimed as he was stunned by his friend's actions. I'm fine, there's nothing to be afraid of. Still, Hinata began, I can't help but be worried about you. Naruto smiled gently and returned Hinata's embrace while saying, Thank you Hinata-chan, you're a true friend. Tomorrow Training Ground 16. Naruto arrived at the training ground to see Hinata slumped against a tree taking a nap. The Uzumaki smirked as he watched her sleep with a smile. She was obviously having a good dream. Good morning Naruto-san. Naruto jumped into the air and looked back to see Shino standing behind him. You know, sneaking up on people isn't the best way to get friendly with them, Naruto said. My apologies, I was unaware that it was something wrong to do, Shino said. Naruto just waved him off and went to sit next to Hinata. Shino went to sit on the other side of the Hyuga girl and closed his eyes as he felt a slight breeze flow through the area. You know how much time is left before she gets here? Naruto asked. Shino thought for a moment and said, I believe that we have 5 minutes until Kurenai-sensei arrives. More like 5 seconds, Kurenai said as she dropped down from a tree. Hello everyone, are we ready to begin? Naruto nodded and said, let me wake Hinata up first. But before Naruto could do anything, Shino grabbed his shoulder. You're not going to shout out that there's a cinnamon bun being sold, are you? He whispered. No, of course not, Naruto said as he pulled out a small scroll with the kanji for emergency written on it. He opened it and unsealed a cinnamon bun. I brought one, he finished as he put the cinnamon near Hinata. Her head turned in the direction of the sweet as he held it near her. He moved it side to side, and everyone, except Shino, had to hold in their laughter when Hinata's head moved with it. Then when Naruto blinked, the cinnamon bun was gone and there was a small stinging sensation on his fingers. She bit me, he thought as he watched Hinata's eyes flutter open and she took in her surroundings. What is it? Hinata asked as she slowly stood up. Nothing, Naruto said quickly, a little too quickly. Hinata stared at him suspiciously but put it in the back of her mind as she stood up and faced her sensei along with her team. Shino pushed up his glasses and asked, what do we have to do in this test? Kurenai smiled and said, it's very simple. The primary function of this team was to be a tracking team. So you're going to use your tracking skills to locate and subdue me before this timer runs out. She then pulled out a clock and set it down on a nearby post. Seems simple enough, anything else we need to know? Naruto asked as he adjusted the belt on his coat. If you want to catch me, you guys are going to come after me with the intention of killing me, Kurenai said. That means that you all need to use everything you know if you want to catch me. But what if YUG get hurt? Hinata asked. Don't worry about me, Kurenai said. You need to work hard if you want to pass this test. So when do we start? Naruto asked. Kurenai smirked and said, right now. She then vanished in a swirl of cherry blossoms. This was a genjutsu, Shino said. Naruto sighed, great, I hate genjutsu. Then I guess you'll dislike the fact that our sensei is known as the genjutsu mistress of Konoha, Shino told him. Naruto groaned in response. Where do we start looking? Hinata asked. Allow me, my insects can already detect a small trail of chakra that matches Kurenai-sensei, Shino said as he raised his arms. A small cloud of insects flew out and began to fly in one direction. The trio of genin quickly followed the bugs as they flew deeper into the forest. After a half hour of running, the three friends reached a small clearing where the insects were just buzzing around, seemingly lost. Is she here? Naruto asked. This is where the trail ends, Shino said. So, logically, she must be in this area. I'll see if she's here, Hinata said as she stepped forward. She made several hand seals and said, Byakugan. Her vision expanded and she could see her teammates behind her and their chakra. Shino's was being drained into one section of his body at a slow rate, most likely where his insects were. Naruto's was bright and energetic, and she could see the two other sources of chakra on his back. She then looked elsewhere and noticed a faint amount of chakra in the trees above them, behind their current position. There! Hinata said as she pointed to where the chakra was and her teammates sprung into action. Shino sent a swarm of insects to where she was pointing and Naruto jumped into the trees as the bugs surrounded him like a shield. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu! Naruto cried as he put his hands into the cross-shaped seal and created 10 clones that leapt into the bushes with him. Kurenai jumped out and clashed with the nearest Naruto, kunai in their hands. Another Naruto dropped down from above and attempted to slam his foot into the jounin. Kurenai threw the Naruto she was fighting with into the one that was attacking and watched as they both popped into smoke. 2 more Kage Bunshin, accompanied by a swarm of insects, jumped out of the trees and attacked Kurenai. She dispelled them with 3 quick hits and ducked as Hinata came in with her palm outstretched and coated with chakra. Kurenai was then engaged in a taijutsu battle against the Hyuga and got 2 of her chakra points blocked in her left arm before she knocked Hinata away, only to have to dodge the last 5 of Naruto's Kage Bunshin as they all attacked at once. "You guys are good," Kurenai said as she jumped back and threw a kunai at the feet of one of the Kage Bunshin. "But you still need to improve." The kunai then exploded and dispelled the Bunshin as the real Naruto was knocked out of the tree by the explosion. As she's getting away, Hinata yelled as she watched Kurenai run off. Shino lifted Naruto to his feet and the genin began to chase after her. "Hinata-chan, can you see her?" Naruto asked as he and his teammates jumped in the direction that their sensei fled. "Hi. Follow me," Hinata said as she jumped forward and began to lead her friends through the forest. The trio followed the Hyuga for several minutes until they reached another clearing where Hinata stopped and began to look around. "Did you lose her?" Naruto asked. "As she was here and then she disappeared," Hinata said. "There is something in the air that is disturbing my insects. I am of no use here," Shino said as he attempted to send out another swarm. Meanwhile, Kurenai was hiding in the trees while applying a special genjutsu that hid her from the Byakugan. Next to her was a small pile of leaves that released a scent that neutralized the insects used by the Aburame clan. "I wonder what you're going to do to track me down, Naruto," Kurenai thought as she observed the genin from her hiding place. "Maybe this part of the test is for you, Naruto-kun," Hinata suggested as she deactivated her Byakugan. "I have to agree with her, Naruto," Shino said. Naruto closed his eyes for a moment before he opened them and said, "Alright, but I need you guys to be calm when I do this." Once he got the confirming nods, he walked forward before he stood in the middle of the clearing. Naruto then slammed both of his hands on the ground and hundreds of threads raced out in all directions. Shino was startled by this but didn't show it, and Hinata was used to it after seeing his threads so many times. In the trees, Kurenai was flabbergasted at Naruto's ability and didn't notice when the threads began to climb up the trees. Once she noticed, several of the threads bumped into her sandals. Naruto smirked when he felt his threads send him a message, one saying that they found his sensei. Naruto then sent another message to his threads and waited. Hinata and Shino watched in awe as all the threads stopped moving, before they all shot into a certain tree. Kurenai jumped out of the tree, wide-eyed and high on adrenaline. "What are you guys waiting for? Get her!" Naruto yelled as he coordinated his threads to try and wrap around the Kunoichi Jounin. This knocked Hinata and Shino out of their stupor and they jumped after their sensei while she was distracted by the threads. 8 trigrams air palm. Hinata cried as she sent a condensed wave of air at Kurenai. The Jounin was hit in the stomach and poofed into a wooden log, signaling that it was a kawarimi. "Behind you," Shino said as he saw their sensei appear behind the young girl. She quickly sent a kick into Hinata's side that sent her flying before she jumped away as crimson threads pierced the area she was in. Hinata was caught by a mass of threads and gently placed on a branch. "Katan, fire bullet jutsu," Naruto cried as he spat out several small fireballs that Kurenai dodged with ease. "Katan, fireball jutsu," Kurenai cried as she went on the offensive. Naruto quickly made a wall of threads that shielded him from the flames as the fireball impacted against it. Shino then leapt towards Kurenai and threw a punch, one that she dodged easily. But before she could counterattack, Hinata came down from above and attempted to drive her chakra-coated fingers into her sensei's shoulder. Kurenai then made several hand seals and said, "Megan, hell viewing technique." A whirlwind of leaves surrounded the trio of genin and they immediately felt a lightheadedness overcome them. Shino and Hinata easily overcame the genjutsu due to their clan abilities. But for Naruto, he was nearly caught in the genjutsu when he felt his chakra stop momentarily, jolting him back into reality. "I guess the Jiongu can break me out of genjutsu, good," Naruto thought as he smirked. Kurenai was shocked that he was able to break free of her genjutsu, considering that he had no ability like the Sharingan or Byakugan. He didn't even cause himself pain. It must be those threads, Kurenai thought. They probably disrupt his chakra to help him. "Naruto-kun, we can't see a catcher at this rate," Hinata said. "There's no need to worry, Hinata, I already have a plan in motion," Shino said. "We just need to keep her busy for a while." Naruto smirked and said, "I think I know what your plan is. Let's hope it works. Naruto then threw a fist at Kurenai, even though he was 20 feet away. Everyone, except Hinata, watched in shock as his forearm shot out towards Kurenai. The Jounin moved just in time to watch the fist embed itself into the tree trunk. Maybe they're taking the whole come at me with the intent to kill thing a little too far, Kurenai thought as she jumped away from a swarm of insects, only these were armed with stingers. Jiongu, threading needles. Naruto cried as he shot a wave of threads at Kurenai. She attempted to dodge them, but one wrapped around her leg and threw her to the ground where several more threads wrapped her up until she was in a cocoon. Shino sent a swarm to surround the Jounin and Hinata had 2 fingers aimed at where her shoulder would be. Hehe, looks like we win Kurenai-sensei, Naruto said as he put his hands behind his head. Kurenai sighed and said, yes, you guys pass. Now can you please let me go? Naruto complied and retracted his threads while Shino and Hinata backed away to stand next to Naruto. How did we do, sensei? Hinata asked. You guys did better than I expected, Kurenai said as she stood before her team. Your tracking skills were better than I expected and you guys fought with a fierceness that surprised me. So are we officially a team? Shino asked. Kurenai smiled and said, yes, you guys are now officially members of Team 8. After cheers of happiness, courtesy of Naruto, were thrown around, Kurenai then got her team's attention. So Naruto, care to tell me what is this ability of yours? Kurenai asked. Naruto bit his lip in nervousness and looked at Hinata, who nodded her head in confirmation. He sighed and explained the conditions of how he got his Jiongu. Hiruzen still hadn't told him the real story of how it happened though. Naruto, Shino said as he placed a hand on the blonde's shoulder, I want you to know that I can understand your situation and will support you however possible. Naruto smiled and said, thanks Shino, it's good to know. And here I was thinking that you were just a normal kid, Kurenai said as she rubbed her temples. There's nothing normal about ninjas, Naruto said with a fox-like grin. Kurenai chuckled for a moment before she looked at her team and said, come on, let's go get some lunch to celebrate. Team 8 then left the training grounds and began walking towards the village. Thank you for watching this video.